doesn't love snowmen? I have 28 Dollar Tree Snowman DIY crafts just for you. This DIY, I'm going to use these large paint sticks that I got at Lowe's. A package comes of 3 and it's under $2. And I'm actually going to use 6 of them. And then I'm going to use 2 of these smaller little paint stir sticks, a scrap piece of wood that came from something from the Dollar Tree, little pop-up stickers from the Dollar Tree. And then I've got this plaid ribbon and I'm going to use that. I'm not going to use that heart that you see there, but I thought I was at first. And then a Jot Black marker from Dollar Tree. And then I'm going to use some burnt umber paint from Apple Barrel, some ink paint by Waverly, which is just black, and my Rust-Oleum Linen White chalk paint. First thing, I'm going to do some painting, get that all done. I'm going to paint 6 of these little pop-up stickers in the ink color. This DIY is inspired by a really cute project I saw on Pinterest, and dry them with my heat tool from Amazon. And now I'm going to take my paint stir sticks and I'm going to paint them all with that white paint. I want to cut them first because why paint things you don't need? So what I'm doing is making 2 taller, another 2 a little bit shorter, and then another 2 a little bit shorter than that. And I'm just going to use my little miter box saw from Dollar Tree and cut them. And now I'm going to take the smaller paint stir sticks and I'm going to measure just 2 little rectangles off of that, and that's going to be like the brim of a hat, and so I'm going to cut those with my miter shears from Amazon. The smaller paint sticks are thinner, so I can manage that with miter shears. Now I'm going to take that little scrap piece, I think it was from a pumpkin, it doesn't look like a pumpkin smile. And I'm going to cut these 3 little pieces, and those are going to be noses, and I use my miter shears to do that. And I'm going to grab the pumpkin Waverly chalk paint and paint them orange. You probably just figured out we're making snowmen. So I'm going to paint them orange and let them dry, and then I'm going to go ahead and start painting all those stir sticks in the linen white chalk paint, and I'm going to do both sides and the back. I like all of my projects to be finished, and so that's how I do it. And then I'm going to take a brush and just very lightly put some on the top of the nose that looks like maybe snow hit the snowman's nose. I'm going to use a combination of wood glue and hot glue, and I'm going to glue pieces together to make my snowman. So every 2 paint stir sticks, the large ones, are going to be a snowman, and they're 3 different heights, so there you can see them. Now I'm going to take my Waverly ink paint. I'm going to paint just the very top portion because that would be part of their black hat. And I'm going to do that on both sides as well of all 3 pieces. Then I'm going to take some tape just because I want the back side to have a clean line. The front side's going to have these little pieces which are the brim of the hat, and I painted those black as well. And then I will hot glue those right there, some at an angle and some straight on. It's time to make our snowmen look like snowmen. So I'm going to take the eyes that I painted black, put 2 on each snowman. And then I'm going to take a little bit of white paint and just kind of make those little white crescents in their eyes. And I made them each a little different so they'd have different personality. I kind of envision this as a family with a mom and dad and a little snowman. Now I'm going to put the noses on with some hot glue. I also used hot glue on the back of those stickers just to make sure they'd stay no matter what. Come find me on social media. I'd love to see you there. Now I'm going to take that Jot marker. I'm just going to make little happy faces on them. If you like to watch videos when you craft like I do, check out my mega video playlist. And I'm going to take some of my red crimson paint from Waverly and just barely tap on a little bit to make some rosy cheeks on each one. Then I'm going to take my white paint and use a stippling brush and just go over the tops where snow might land when it falls. And they're going to get that on the front and back of their hats. And then I've got these adorable red buffalo check beads I got on Amazon, and I'm going to glue 3 on each one for their little buttons. Aren't they the cutest? I'm going to take my plaid ribbon, tie 1 around each of their necks, and I'm going to make each one a little bit different length. Like the child will have a medium-sized one, the dad will have a shorter one, and the mom will have a longer one just to be more fashionable, if you know what I mean. Aren't they cute? Now I need to fill that gap from the top of the paint stick, so I'm using a little bit of scrapbook paper and I'm just going to glue it on and then paint it black and then touch up the snow wherever I need to, and that makes it all just look like one solid piece of wood. But I liked the curves on the sides of the paint sticks because it really made it look like a hat. I'm going to take a little chalk marker from the Dollar Tree and just say let's get cozy, and just regular printing, nothing fancy. Now I'm going to distress them a little with my burnt umber paint. Just going to dry brush it with a small brush, tap a little bit on very lightly in all of the seams and edges and just a teeny bit in the middle of them. I really like the way that's turning out. Now I need to attach them to each other, so I'm going to use a combination of E6000 and hot glue, and they're going to overlap a little bit. So the dad's going to be in the back and the mom will be when you're facing him on his left and the child will be to the right. And I love that because they are getting cozy just like it says. Now Now I needed something for them to be in. I wanted them to kind of be in like a little greenery kind of garden snowball thing. So I found this box that had a top. I unscrewed it, took it off, sanded it down, and I painted the whole box in the white linen chalk paint. Then I'm going to get some cardboard that I have from a box of something that I received in the mail, and I'm going to use it for filler because I don't want to fill the whole thing. I'm going to take this little dust mop from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to hot glue it in and over the edges so it looks like snow has fallen and is kind of falling out of it. Then I'm going to put the snowmen in the very back. I left a little gap there for them, and I am going to add some more snow around the back, and that's going to camouflage the staples that I end up using to attach it. And so I'm just going to glue that on there, and then I'm going to take my staple gun and I'm going to staple a couple of staples right into the thickest part, and then I'll put more snow. I've got little battery operated lights from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to attach that, and I'm going to hide the controls under the snow towards the snowman, but you make it so you can reach in and turn it off and on. I'm going to add some cute greenery. I'm going to flock it all, put some little mini pine cones from the Dollar Tree, flock everything because it looks like a snowstorm just happened and it's fallen all over. And then I'm going to take these little mini snowballs, got 2 different sizes, and I'm just going to start gluing them all over, and they've kind of got sparkles in them. They're also from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to add them wherever I can and make sure everything looks like snow fell on it. And then I feel like snowballs wouldn't all be the same size, so I'm going to add these little teeny ones all over in little bunches. The last thing I'm going to do is take my burnt umber and distress the box so that it matches. And oh my gosh, I am loving this. Really good size. You can make this any size you want, and I know these are expensive in stores. The easiest DIY in the whole video. I'm going to take my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint, and I'm going to use a spice jar that I emptied out, and I'm also going to use some buttons that I got at the Dollar Tree, and then I have a couple pieces of ribbon. I'm actually going to glue them together to make it work. I just didn't want to waste them, and my dot marker from Dollar Tree. I don't use that orange piece of dice. I'm going to paint the whole spice jar except for the rim in 2 coats of the paint, and when it dries I'm going to put 3 buttons right down the middle, obviously like a little snowman. Now this snowman's not going to have a face. He's just going to have his buttons and a scarf. I'm going to glue those pieces together, wrap them around the neck of the spice jar, hot glue it together, and wrap it around his little neck. And that is it. So easy, so cute, and it's like a trash to treasure. I love this one. Super, super easy. I don't know about you guys, but I love to watch videos while I'm crafting, and so I have created a mega video playlist where I have longer videos. So if you're interested, the link's in my description. I am going to take 3 of these little wood cutouts that I got at Hobby Lobby, and I picked a small one, a medium one, and a little bit of a bigger one. And very carefully, I'm going to use my Rust-Oleum chalk paint and linen white, and I'm going to just like kind of dry brush. I mean, a little heavier than dry brush, but I'm not going to like solid paint over it. What I'm doing is I'm dabbing on the sides too. I just want it to look like kind of snow. And I've got this little piece of scarf, and I'm going to cut off a little teeny portion of it. I'm going to take a jot marker from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to make eyes and a mouth. Then I'm going to take this little berry garland. I'm going to cut one off, and it's already orange, so I'm just going to hot glue it right on there. It's a perfect little nose. Now I'm going to take my buffalo check ribbon with red and black, and I'm going to hot glue it along the back to attach the 3 pieces. Now I'm going to roll over the top of that little scarf piece because it's a little bit too thick, and I'm going to wrap it around my snowman, and I'm going to hot glue it down and give him a cute little scarf. And then I'm going to trim like those long tassels because obviously for this size scarf it doesn't work. And I'm going to use that ribbon to create a hanger and hot glue that down. I'm just going to make some buttons. You guys, this one is done and it's adorable, and he is so easy to make. we are going to need 3 different sizes of beads, a small, medium, and large, and you can pick whichever one of those you want. I have quite a few to choose from. I'm going to use my Arteza paint markers and a little bit of a paint sample that I got for $1 at Lowe's. They have those there, and it's so much cheaper than buying the regular paint. Now I'm choosing which 3 sizes of beads that I want to use. And like I did before, I'm going to put my beads on these skewers and paint them while they're on there, and then stick them into a piece of foam so they can dry. It's just so much easier to work with them, and I don't get quite as messy. I don't want to forget to mention that if you really enjoy this video, please hit the like button, and if you're not subscribed, I invite you to do so. Share the video, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. All of those things really help my channel grow. I really appreciate you guys so much. Now that the beads are dry, I'm going to string them, the largest on the bottom, the middle one in the middle, and then the smallest on top to create a snowman. I'm going to make sure there's a big enough knot at the bottom that it will hold the 3 beads on the string and they won't slip through, and then I'm going to leave extra on the top so that I can tie it to the garland. I will also make another knot at the top of his head just to secure those 3 beads on the twine. I painted enough beads to make 10 little snowmen, and so I'm just going to repeat the same process for all 10. I'm going to get my bright orange Arteza paint marker out, and I'm going to make the little nose on each of the snowmen. And I'm going to use the tweezers that come with it and flip the little tip around. And I just learned this recently, that there's a wide tip and a fine point tip, and you can just switch them around with your tweezers. How cool is that? Now I'm going to get my black marker. I am now going to paint on his eyes, his charcoal mouth, and the 3 buttons in his middle section for all 10 of the snowmen. In the automotive section at Dollar Tree, I found this rope that's red and white, and it's basically 3 strands, 2 of red and 1 of white, and it has that kind of candy cane look. So I separated some of the red out and cut it in order to make a little scarf for each of the snowmen. They also had this same rope or twine, whatever it is. It's almost like a plastic kind of substance, but they had it in green and white, so I ended up making scarves out of both. I had some white pipe cleaners, and I cut them into little teeny pieces to make arms for each of the snowmen. And I wasn't sure how long to make them, so I cut them and then I ended up trimming them, and I hot glued them to the sides of the snowmen. I made some waving, some with their hands down, just kind of mixed it up a bit so they didn't all look exactly the same. Once I gave all 10 snowmen their arms, I decided I needed to come up with a pattern with the beads to string between each snowman, because otherwise it would be a really short garland. So I messed around a little bit and just kind of decided, and you could pick whatever pattern you like. I just made one up, and now I am attaching the beads accordingly. So, fun tip I just learned recently. If you buy one of the little ashtrays at the Dollar Tree, you can use it to hold beads so they don't roll around on the table. You can also lay your paintbrushes across it in the little grooves where people would have put cigarettes. What a handy thing for something that I would never buy since I don't smoke. Once I finished stringing all my beads in the pattern that I want, I determined where I would attach each snowman, and because I had left string at the top, I'm able to tie it around the twine that's between each of the beads where I want to place a snowman. And so I'm going to do that with all 10 of them. Now they're all attached and they look so cute, but I felt like it needed a little more color, so I took my crimson chalk paint from Waverly and I added a little water into a bowl to water it down, almost to make it into a stain. And even though it's already strung on the garland, it was a little tricky, but I went ahead and I basically tinted or stained each of the beads, excluding the snowman, just to give it a little more color. And I'm very happy I did. It was worth it. It came out so nice. And for me, that was just what it needed. And you know what? I am so glad I did it, and I love them. And they're very festive, and then you have the little white snowman, so the contrast is perfect. And what a fun little garland. I love these little snowmen. I'm thinking of making them for some other DIYs besides garland. They're just so cute. Oh my gosh, I love this one. What do you guys think? I'm I'm using some jute twine, one of the little wooden snowmen cutouts from Dollar Tree, a really cool kilt that I had, which is really for a wine bottle, and then I've got some paint, ink by Waverly, a white sample I got at Lowe's, pumpkin by Waverly, crimson, and then I ended up using a teeny bit of the antique wax as well by Waverly. I separated the wood from the stand, and I'm using the one side that doesn't have any cutouts, and I'm going to cut down the sides so that the little kilt will fit on it. Those little extra humps were in the way, so I'm just using a blade to do that. So a little background on the kilt. For anyone of Scottish ancestry, the kilt is a symbol of honor for the clan which they belong. It was first worn by those who lived in the Scottish Highlands. The kilt was a manner of dress that afforded the fighting army with possibly its most useful tool. Today, the kilt is the national dress of Scotland, and it's worn by many. In fact, my husband has one, and he wore one at our wedding. As you can see, I'm painting the snowman white on both sides, and I did 2 coats to get a good covering. I'm using the ink chalk paint to paint his hat on both sides, and I'm going to use that same color for his eyes and for his mouth and his buttons. I made one of his eyes winking, but not so sure if it came out like a winking eye. You'll have to let me know. I attached the kilt with a dab of hot glue in the front and the back. I saved the wood sticks from my foam brushes, so I cut off a little piece and I made that his little corncob pipe. And I used a little piece of a skewer for the actual handle of the pipe. And I used the Waverly antique wax on the handle, and then I just used ink on the pipe itself. To create his scarf, I used some jute twine, which I wrapped around his neck, and then I made a little tassel by wrapping it around my fingers in it, and that's how I made his little scarf. I used a little piece of jute twine to create a hanger on the back. And I wouldn't be me if I didn't have a few extra things to add. So I made a little red stripe on the front and back of his hat, which I actually think really added a lot. The other thing is I decided to add some smoke to his pipe. So I used a little bit of the cotton off of a Q-tip, and it was perfect because it kind of has a swirl to it and it looks just like smoke. You guys, I'm pretty sure this one is my favorite. I love Snowman, and then I love that he's wearing a kilt. So cute. And then I love the smoke on the pipe. I had so much fun making this one. You'll have to tell me what you think. I'm going to use 3 of the larger clothespins that I have, some chalked linen white paint from Rust-Oleum, and take a piece of masking tape, kind of roll it around itself so that I can set the clothespins right on it. It makes it easier when you paint little things to attach it to some tape. So I'm just going to paint all of them white, inside, outside, around the whole entire thing. There they are. Now I've got this super fine art brush and this chalkboard paint that I think I got that one at Dollar Tree, but they sell it at Walmart as well. I've got an orange pipe cleaner. I'm going to cut teeny tiny little pieces, and honestly, they could have been smaller now that I look back, but that's okay. And I'm just going to glue those little orange pieces on. These are going to be little snowmen, and the orange is the nose. And you can see what I mean by the noses are a little bit bigger. But that's okay because our snowman has some character, and you know what? It's all for fun. So there they are. All 3 noses are on. I'm going to take that fine art brush with the black paint. I'm going to make eyes. And then I'm going to make little dots under the nose for the mouth. And this is where a smaller nose might have come in handy. You could also paint the nose on with some orange paint. That would look just fine. Or orange yarn. I probably could have done that. And then I'm going to put 4 buttons on the front of each of these snowmen. So cute. Wow, this is so easy. I'm going to do the same thing to the other 2. There we go. Then I'm going to take 3 different color pieces of pipe cleaner. I've got green, red, and purple. And I'm just going to measure and cut, how long it would be for a cute little scarf on each snowman. I'll wrap it around, twist it real tight below the mouth, right where the clothespin attaches, like where it opens up. And then I'll take my little nippers and just cut off the excess. And there I have an adorable little scarf, and I will do the same for the other 2 with the other 2 pieces of the pipe cleaner that I showed you. There they are. Aren't they cute? I'm going to use that gold and white twine again, cut off 3 pieces about the same size, and then I will make a knot. I'll bring the 2 ends together on each one and make a knot. First, I'm going to take the string and put it right through like the closed part of the clothespin, and then I'm going to go ahead and make that little knot, and that will be the hanger. You never need to open these clothespins because they will just hang with the twine. And look at these. Are they adorable? So easy, so fast. Ornament. I have 7 of the tumbling tower blocks. And we're going to make a little snowman with a top hat. So I'm going to use that combination of my tacky glue. You can use wood glue and hot glue. I put little dots and then start assembling the pieces. I'm going to put 3 together for the face of the snowman. Then I'm going to put 2 together for the very top of the hat. And I'm going to put the other 2 on their sides and just put the 2 ends together, doing the same thing with the dots of glue, both kinds of glue. Now I'm going to assemble them. I'm going to put the head onto the brim of the hat. You see how I'm putting that the other direction for the brim. And then I'll take the top of the hat and set that back the other way on the very top of the hat. And it's so cute and so easy to assemble. I'm going to paint the head, front, back, and sides with the Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint. I'm going to take a pencil. I'm going to draw the eyes, nose, and mouth of the snowman. And I'm just looking at a picture to come up with what snowman face I want to make. And then I'm going to take a fine art brush and some black chalkboard paint and just paint in the eyes and the mouth. I will use my pumpkin chalk paint from Waverly to paint in the nose. He is turning out so cute. Now I'm going to embellish his hat a little bit. I'm going to put a little bit of a piece of greenery from a pick or a couple little pieces. I'm going to wrap some jute twine around 2 fingers about 15 times. And then I will take the remaining string and wrap it around the middle and kind of make what looks like a little bit of a bow. Once I get enough on there, I'm just going to hot glue it in place and then cut off the excess. Once I do that, I'm going to take my scissors and go right into those loops and cut them open on both sides, and then I'll fluff it just a little bit. I'm going to hot glue it right on the brim of his hat. Adorable. Now, off camera, I took a little bit of the white paint and I kind of flocked his hat so it looks like he's been snowed on. This is such a cute ornament. And of course, I added a jute hanger. Let me know what you think. Twine hack. We're going to use the twine, and then I've got this wood slice that I ordered on Amazon, and I've got this little die cut snowman. I've also got a black marker from the Dollar Tree. First thing I'm going to do is color in the snowman's eyes, buttons. I'm going to outline his mittens. I'm going to color in his stick hands, and I'm going to color in his top hat. I'm going to leave the rest the natural wood. It was so hard not to paint the rest white. You have no idea. But since this is such a natural looking kind of an ornament with the twine, I withheld and I did not do it. It took a lot of self-control. I'm very proud of myself. Anyway, so it's turning out really cute with just the black and the natural. I do really like it. Now I'm going to take the wood slice, I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue and the twine, and I'm going to start wrapping around. Now, I got to be honest with you guys, I wasn't paying, I guess, as close of attention as I should have, and I made it slightly crooked from where the little hole at the top is to hang it. I didn't even notice. You'll see when I realized it, but I haven't noticed it yet. So right now I'm just wrapping it around, and when I get as much on there as I want, I'm just going to hot glue it on the back and snip off the end. Now I realized, oh my gosh, it's crooked because I want to put the snowman on and I can't put him centered. So I went ahead and made the snowman light up with the hole. So it's just got a little angle. Okay, whatever. It's interesting, right? I don't see straight apparently. Anyway, I added a piece of twine. I'm going to make a knot at the top, and that's going to be my hanger. Now, once I have the knot on, most of the time what I like to do is pull that knot behind the ornament. Sometimes it's not possible if it's glued down or tied down, but this time it was, so that way you just have the loop. And I think this one is so cute. It was one of the fastest ones I could ever think of making. So super easy, fun, and fast, and I think you'll really like it. Pinecone, and I'm going to use my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint. We are going to make a snowman pinecone. First of all, I'm going to go ahead and take my little nippers and just clip off some of those petals, if you will, on the bottom so that this will sit a little bit nicer. I just wanted to tell you how much I love our little bestie community. Everyone is so encouraging and supportive. Let's all make friends down in the comments and chat with one another. So I'm going to go ahead and just flock the whole thing. And then I've got this styrofoam ball, and it's too big for the snowman head. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to score like around the circle one way and then like a crisscross around. And I'm just going to go in like maybe not even 1/4 of an inch. And once I do that, I'm going to start scraping off that layer. You'll see what I'm doing right here. I'm just using my Cricut scraper tool. And it's just perfect because it gives me that circle and it takes it off pretty evenly. So there you can see now it's just a better size for the pinecone. I've got some black pipe cleaners, and I'm going to cut off little pieces to make the eyes and the mouth. Now for the eyes, I'm going to make them a little longer, fold them in half and poke them right in. And for the mouth, I'm just going to make little teeny pieces and poke them in the shape of a mouth. And I thought this worked really well. Using like a marker on this, it just doesn't like go on evenly. So this was, I thought, a better choice. I'm going to take an orange pipe cleaner and just cut a little piece and fold it in half and make a loop on one side and tighter on the other. And I'm going to hot glue it. And that's going to be our little snowman's nose. And I think he's starting to look really cute. I'm going to put a generous amount of hot glue on that bottom part of the pine cone and attach the head. I took a Dollar Tree ribbon with little snowflakes on it, and I'm just going to make a scarf out of it by hot gluing it on, and I will dovetail the ends. And then I'm going to take this empty spool from ribbon from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to take off the top, kind of get off the excess, and I'm going to cut a little circle to cover the hole and hot glue that on the top. And then I'm just going to take a permanent marker that's black, and I'm going to just like basically put it all over, and that is my snowman hat. So now I'm glad I saved those things. I'm going to hot glue that right to the top, and he's looking so cute. I'm going to turn him into an ornament, so I'm going to wrap some twine in between the petals and tie a knot on the back, and then pull up that twine on the top, tie another knot for the hanger, and then I'm going to add a little pipe cleaner around the rim of the hat and a little piece of greenery and some berries. This was so easy and adorable, and I think this would be such a fun craft to make if you were trying to do something quickly or with kids or grandkids. It's so easy and so fun. And look how adorable that is. You could use all kinds of different ribbons to make the scarf. It would be so cute. Cute glass mug at the Dollar Tree. It's nice and big, and I'm going to use my Rust-Oleum chalked linen white paint, and I'm going to paint the entire inside of the mug. Now it does take about 3 coats to get it where you don't see the little paint strokes, so I'll do the rest of that off camera, and there it is. It looks really, really nice. And then I've got this cute little hat that I think was either from Hobby Lobby or the Dollar Tree. It's a snowman hat, so that was perfect. I'm going to take a marker, and I'm just going to do eyes and a mouth and just kind of draw it out where I want it to be. And then I'm going to take an orange marker and draw where I want the little snowman nose. It's going to be a cute little snowman. But then I'm going to take my chalkboard paint and a very, very, very fine point art brush, and I'm just going to paint the eyes on. This gives you a lot of control. The point is almost like a pencil, so you can definitely, do this very easily. And I usually just rest my pinky on the side of whatever it is that I'm doing. That kind of steadies my hand from getting like shaky at all, because you know how easy that is to happen. Once I get the eyes done, I'm going to go ahead and do the little mouth. Now I saw a picture of a snowman that had this kind of mouth on it, and I thought it was super cute, so that's where I came up with the idea. Then I'm going to take my pumpkin chalk paint by Waverly, and I'm just going to fill in that little nose, and it is so adorable. This is such an easy project to do. I'm going to dry that surface off with my heat tool. I don't want to accidentally touch it and smudge it. Next, I'm going to kind of dry fit the hat, and then I'm going to take some hot glue and put about 5 dots around the brim of the glass and just set that hat right on there and hold it down so that it makes contact. I've got this cute little sprig for the holiday from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to cut off a little piece to make it shorter. I'm going to hot glue that right on the little side of where the hat starts lifting up. And then I'm going to take from this cute little garland from Michael's a little bulb. Just going to cut it off and pull off that little base part that, has the holder on it where you hang it. And I'm going to hot glue that right on to where that sprig is on the hat. Just thought that would make this super festive and cute. I love how this is turning out so far. And then the last thing I'm going to do is just pull off some berries from this little berry pick. I'm just going to find the right little bunch that I want, and then I'm going to figure out how it would lay the best on the hat. I'm going to put some hot glue on it and set it right there next to the little bulb. And that's it. This one is done, and it is so cute. You could put this on a tier tray, on a shelf, in your kitchen, anywhere you want. This would also be a very cute gift idea. Let me know what you think. Pillow cover. So this little pillow I got at Walmart, and then I've got some fabric, some yarn, and a little piece of a tie from an old pair of pajama pants, and then this dust cloth from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to open up this fabric. It's a nice neutral color, and I'm just going to measure and see how much I need for this little pillow to cover it. So we're going to make a slip cover. I'm going to kind of fold one end over the other, and then I'm going to check the sides and trim them so that it isn't too wide for this teeny little pillow. It's a cute little pillow, but I want to save it for next year, but I'd also like to have a cover for Christmas time. So I'm going to make a little double hem. I'm going to use some clips and my iron, and I'm going to iron down the first level of that hem, and then I'll iron down the second. Now, once I get the second level of the hem, I will start hot gluing that down, because that way I've got a nice seam now at the end of my hem. I did that on both sides, the shorter sides of this rectangular piece of fabric. So now I'm going to plan inside out how I'm going to lay this on the pillow. Once I find it, I will hold on the end and pull the pillow out so it's folded exactly where I want it, and I need the one to overlap. And I know there's a little excess on this side, so I'm going to do my glue right inside there. I'll trim off that excess afterwards, but I want to make that first seam. And then I'm going to attach that little flap that goes over. You're only going to do the sides, not that middle portion. Now I'll check the pillow again, cut a little more off, and now I've got the right size pillow. So I'll go ahead and do that seam as well. Now do that all the way down the side. So now both sides are completely glued. And once they dry, I'm going to stick my hand into those points in the corners, and I'm going to push them through. And now we will have the pillow cover the right side out. And you'll see how nice the seams are. And of course you can press this down if you want around the edges, but the pillow is going to fill it up. So now I'm going to open it up and start stuffing the pillow in very carefully. And by the way, that hot glue just stays so well. And I've washed my pillow covers. I just don't do it in hot water or on a high heat at all. In fact, I usually let them dry naturally. So now I've got that little pillow. I try to straighten it out. Sometimes they go in a little crooked, so you got to play with it. And now I want to put a little design on it. I'm going to do it while the pillow's in there so I can see where it will sit. I'm going to take that dust cloth and I'm going to cut a circle, and I'm not even measuring. I'm just kind of going around, and then I'll kind of trim it up once it's done and make it look a little better. I'm going to use hot glue and get the center and the rest of it down. I was going to use my Beacon Fabric Tack glue, but I really wanted this to dry quickly, so that's definitely a good option. And now I'm going to cut those little pieces of that tie that I had from pajama pants. I'm going to cut little X's for eyes, and then I'm going to take the orange yarn from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to make the shape of a nose with the hot glue, and I'm just going to wrap it around and around. I did use the Beacon Fabric Tack glue in the center of the nose, and I'll just wrap that yarn. That way it wouldn't dry too fast in the center, and I could just keep wrapping and wrapping until I fill up that little nose. And it's so cute. And when it's done, I'll just snip off the end of that yarn. Now I'm going to cut a bunch of little pieces of that tie again and glue them on and make a little mouth for the snowman. I took some spray adhesive around the edges so that that white doesn't fall off. It was falling off everywhere when you cut those towels, and that just kept it in place, and that was it. And honestly, so easy. Tell me that's not adorable. You can definitely make this. Window clings, and I think they are either from Dollar Tree, Dollar General, those two stores. And then I've also got this really cool like set of cutting boards that I got at Goodwill for $4.99. There's 6 of them and a holder. Great deal. So I just sanded it down, and then I use my little ladybug vacuum to clean up my desk. And then I've got a mister. I just fill it with water and just lightly spray it over the wood. And I'm going to use my Rust-Oleum white, linen white chalk paint. And I'm going to do like a whitewash on both sides. I'm going to dry it off with my heat tool from Amazon. Don't forget, all my favorite tools are down in my Amazon store. The link's in the description box. So now both sides are painted and dry. I'm going to take a little bit of painter's tape and just kind of eyeball across, and then I thought better of it. Well, let's measure it and see. I don't know. Do you guys do that too? You think you can see evenly, and then it turns out this time it worked. I'm going to use my Crimson Beautiful Red chalk paint from Waverly, and I'm going to just paint the top portion. And you notice I'm painting away from the tape, and look, it gives such a nice crisp line. I love doing that. Now I'm going to take this little buffalo check or plaid ribbon from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to use my Beacon Fabric Tack glue to just go ahead and glue that right on the line. I kind of wish I had done it just below the line, but you know what? It's okay. You just see a little bit of the red going through, and I hadn't thought about that till it was too late, and I didn't want to reposition it, sand off the glue. You know how that goes, right? to snip off the ends with my scissors just to have a nice clean line there. I didn't want to wrap it around this time. There is the window cling I'm going to use. Isn't he a cute little snowman with a buffalo check Christmas tree? I'm going to fussy cut around it so all you see is the snowman with the tree and presents. I'm going to lay some Mod Podge over the top of both the red and the white paint. And then I'm going to remove the little snowman from his paper backing, and I'm going to place him right on the cutting board. I am loving how this is looking so far. So cute. I'm going to cover the top with some more of the Mod Podge. That way he'll be sealed in, and although I won't use this cutting board, I will put it up as a decoration. I'm also going to add some more of that ribbon in the hole on the top. And I love him. Look how cute. Do you guys think he's adorable too? He's going to look so cute with my cutting board collection that I have started. I've already got 2 now for winter, and who knows, I might add another one. We'll see. Tree muffin pan hack. Going to remove the sticker like I always do, get rid of the glue and all that stuff. This time I'm going to turn it over and we're going to use the back. We're going to take the lacquer colored chalk paint by Waverly, and people have asked me, where do you get the Waverly chalk paint? Well, wait, Walmart always sold it. Now I heard some Walmarts still do and some don't, but then they have another brand. I think you could use the other brand. I've heard good things about it. I just still have all this Waverly paint. I'm going to paint everything but the part that sticks up, so like the little muffin areas that are sticking straight out. Once I do 2 coats of the lacquer, I'm going to take my Rust-Oleum chalked linen white paint, and I'm going to paint all of those little parts that stick up where you, on the other side where you would put muffins. So it's going to take a couple coats of this one as well, but it does end up covering the red where I, painted over a little bit on the edge there. It's okay if it's not exact. It's just such a cutesy little thing. It'll be fine. And I do go in and touch it up later. Once I have 2 coats or so there and it dries, I'm going to take a pencil and I'm looking at a picture that I found online of all different faces of snowmen. Just so you know, I'm not an artist. I would not be able to do this very well without looking at a picture. So if I can do it, I'm pretty sure you can do it. So just go find snowman faces that you like, and I decided to all different ones. And some of them are silly, some of them are cutesy, just for fun. It's almost like snowman emoji faces, So I thought that would be kind of fun. Once I've drawn them all out, that helps me to know what I'm doing if I draw it out first with pencil. Then I'm going to take my super fine art brush, which is almost like the tip of a pencil, and some black chalkboard paint that I got at Dollar Tree. And I'm going to very carefully go over all of the lines except for the noses that I did for the snowman. So the eyes and the mouths, and if there are any eyebrows I need to do. So I'll do the same thing on all of the 6 snowman faces. There they are. They're starting to look so cute. Then I'm going to take the pumpkin chalk paint from Waverly. You can use any orange you want. And I'm just going to do the same thing with the noses and just make sure, and I make them a little bigger. Some of them I made too small with the pencil, but at least I've got a form there to go with. So I just go around them, make them a little bigger, and cover the pencil lines. By the second coat, the pencil lines are all covered. And there you go. They are so adorable. Now I'm going to take that white paint again and that fine brush, and I'm going to make some snowflakes on the middle sections, like between the bigger section between the little muffin tins, and just going to make like a snowflake. Very basic. Snowflakes can be so complicated. I don't want to do that. So I'm going to do another one there, and then I'm going to do 2 little ones on the sides there. And then I'm going to take that snowflake ribbon from Dollar Tree and just put it through, tie a knot at the top, tuck the knot underneath, and that is it. This one is so adorable. This would be so cute in the kitchen. Again, you could add this one to a wreath. I think there's lots of possibilities. Let me know what you think. Tree, a white dust cloth from the Dollar Tree, and a red winter hat from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to use my Rust-Oleum chalked linen white paint, and I'm just going to paint around the edges of the pizza pan. Once that's covered, we're going to take the dust cloth and we're just going to spread it over so it covers the whole thing. And I'm going to start hot gluing it so the seam is not going to be touching the pan. And I'll just go around some of the edges and then in the middle and finish the whole thing off. Once I have that on there, I'm going to use my good scissors and cut the big pieces away. And then I'm going to take a small scissors and I'm going to just cut so that it falls down below that rim of the pizza pan, as you can see there. But don't worry about the edges. We're going to clean them up later. I've got this little gift bag tie, and I'm just going to put it on the back with hot glue and some masking tape to secure it. And that way we've got that taken care of. Now I'm going to take my winter hat and I'm going to start gluing it. Now you could cut it in half if you wanted to. I decided I would just stretch it over the edges and make it look like it was just on. And then I'll put some in the back to secure that as well. Now I'm going to take a little piece of a mop head and just tie it around the top and kind of bunch it, because otherwise it'll flop over quite a bit. And then I'm going to take a little piece of scrap wood. It's actually a piece of a paint stir stick. I'm going to hot glue it to partially on the back of the pizza pan and on the hat, and that'll hold the hat straight out. And you could paint that if you wanted. I decided not to. I have some black felt and some kind of cream colored felt. I'm going to cut like an oval shape out of the felt. It's doubled up, and I'm going to make 2 eyes for my snowman. You can tell this is a snowman. I'm just going to hot glue them right onto the face of my snowman. Then I cut out a nose shape from the other one, and then I'm going to cut a piece of the black felt that I think will fit where the mouth should go, and I'm just going to start cutting like an edge off of that kind of half circle and just clean it up until I get a mouth that I think looks cute. And then I will glue that mouth on. I'll start in the middle and then do the edges. That way it won't move around while I'm gluing it. I'm going to take that little piece of felt for the nose, and I'm just going to use my pumpkin colored Waverly chalk paint and paint it orange. And then I'm just going to hot glue it on, and there's my little snowman's nose. I think he's so cute, you guys. This was really easy to do. Now I'm going to add a little bit of greenery and a cute little glittered Pinecone to the top of his hat. And I think that just really makes him adorable, but his eyes needed a little more life. So I'm going to take a little dabber stick that I have and just put a little white circle in each eye. And then I'm going to cover those edges of the pizza pan with my mop head. It takes 2 pieces to get that part covered, and just use hot glue to do it. And there we go. I think he's adorable. He would look so cute in the middle, like a green evergreen kind of wreath for winter, or even hanging on your wall somewhere. He's so cute. Let me know what you think. From the Dollar Tree, and then I've got a little mason jar. I'm going to use my Waverly hazelnut chalk paint and my Rust-Oleum chalked linen white paint as well. I'm going to paint this first one with the hazelnut because I'm going to make a little gingerbread guy. Then I'm going to paint the other 2 with the white because they're going to become little snowmen. I'm going to take my Mod Podge and these fake snow flurries, and I think those are from Hobby Lobby, and I'm going to paint the whole inside of the mason jar with the Mod Podge, and then carefully drop in a couple handfuls of the snow flurries and then roll it around inside. It'll stick to the Mod Podge. Then I'll put just part of the lid back on so there's still an opening. And I've got this gorgeous kind of sheer gold ribbon. I'm just going to tie a knot and place it on the side of the mason jar, and that matches really nice with that lid. And then I'm going to use a couple dots of hot glue just to tack it down so it stays in place. Kind of spread that ribbon out a little bit and then cut off the tails so there's just a little piece on each side. This is just an embellishment to make it look kind of festive. I've got this little wreath ornament with a cardinal in it that came from Walmart. I took the little string, the hanger off, and I'm going to hot glue it to the center where that knot is. And that's just going to make this little mason jar so pretty. Now we'll go back to our wooden cooking utensils or baking utensils. I'm going to draw a little gingerbread face. And I'm going to be honest with you guys, this is not my best gingerbread face. I didn't look as much at a picture this time, and that's where I went wrong. Just to show you, I'm really not an artist. I need to be looking at a picture. I finally did, but I had already done the face. So you know what? He's just going to be a little quirky, and I'm just going to be okay with that. It's just one little wooden utensil. After I draw it with a pencil, I'm going to get my white paint and my fine point art brush, and I'm just going to outline all of those places I drew except for the eyes and the nose and the mouth. That I'm going to use the black. And then I'll put a little white dot in the eyes, the nose, and the mouth just to give it a little more character and personality. He's still cute in his own quirky way. Now I'm going to draw out the little snowman. The first one's just going to be a regular snowman face with a nose and mouth. And this one I'm going to use the hole in that wooden utensil as his mouth. I did my black on there, made little dots on the eyes, and then the orange for his nose, and then sprayed them all with a clear glaze. Now I'm going to take 3 different ribbons. For the gingerbread guy, I got this gorgeous candy cane ribbon from Dollar Tree. I'm just going to make an awareness bow, squeeze the center, and then tie it up with a little bit of twine. And then I'll trim off the tails by making dovetails. So what you do is you fold the ribbons in half, and then you cut from where the bottom's going to be straight up towards the bow. And while it's folded in half, that creates a little dovetail. I'm going to hot glue that right where his neck would be. Then I tied 2 different ribbons around the snowman and tacked down one of the pieces of their scarves. And I put them in the mason jar, and that's it. It's so cute in my kitchen. And I just love this whole bakeware theme. You're going to have to let me know what you think. And how fun is this? I love it. This large piece of foam board from the Dollar Tree. And then I've got 2 round containers from the Dollar Tree that one is smaller than the other. I'm just going to trace a circle on to the foam board so I can cut them out. I've got this amazing blade from Amazon, and you can find it in my Amazon store. It's always down in my description box below. Now that I've cut out the 2 circles, I've got this white dust mop from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to cut a size that will fit both of those circles. And then I'm going to take some scrap pieces of the foam board, and I'm going to create the top of the hat and the brim of a hat for my snowman. I've also got this little snow hat from the Dollar Tree, and I'm going to cut out some pieces so that we can glue them on to the hat. This is going to be the hat, covering. So I've got both pieces, and I'm going to use the part with the pattern for the top of the hat, which I think is going to be very, very cute. And I do remove that little backing you see inside of the hat. So I'm just going to hot glue these pieces onto the foam board. Very easy, just puts them on, and then I'd use my little spatula to, attach it so I don't burn myself. And there they are, both pieces are done. Now I'm going to cut out, a little closer to the size of those circles, and I'm just going to put hot glue on the foam board, set it down, and then I'll put hot glue around those edges, and then just take my little spatula and push them on top of it all the way around the circle, because that way it covers it really nice and the front looks great. And then I'll just trim off any excess that I have, and if I need to put any hot glue anywhere, I will do that. So there's both pieces, and you can see the back there. I'm going to take a craft stick, it's a large one, just put some hot glue on it and put it between those 2 to attach them together. Now I'm going to take the bottom of the hat, attach it, and then I'm going to take the top of the hat and attach it all with hot glue. And then once I get that on there, I'm also going to make sure that it's stuck really well to the actual snowman. Now I'm going to take another piece of a craft stick and just make sure that the hat is secured to the snowman. I've got a piece of a mop head. I'm just going to hot glue that on there and add a little piece of that dust cloth to secure it. And that way I've got a hanger for this adorable snowman. Now I'm going to cut off some more because I want to make his scarf. So I cut off another piece to go around his neck. Just secure that with some hot glue on the front and on the back. Next, I'm going to take the rest of that hat and I'm going to cut a couple of strips, and that will become the part of the scarf that hangs down. So I'm just kind of making sure I have enough. On the top of each one, I'm going to hot glue up to like a little point, the top pieces there, so that they don't stick out, and I can hot glue them right to the neck of the scarf. And there you go. And then I'll just tack down the sides so they don't move anywhere. Now, once I've got them stuck down, I'm going to take my scissors and just do an angled cut for the bottom of the scarf. Really cute already. I love it. And then I took the pom-pom off the hat and I put it right where the scarf is around the neck. Now I'm going to cut a couple little pieces, one from each end of a craft stick, so it's got that little half circle there. And I'm going to use a black marker and color that in. And then I'm going to take the hot glue and attach those to the face of the snowman, because those will become his eyes. And then I'm going to take a little chalk marker from the Dollar Tree and just kind of make the little white parts. I think that's going to look cute. I've got some orange burlap from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to shape it into what looks like a nose and hot glue it right on the face. And then I'm going to take a black marker and make some little circles and make the little snowman mouth. I've got these fake snow flurries, and what I'm going to do is take my Aleene's tacky glue and just put it on places where I think snow would have hit him, like the brim of his hat, the top of his hat, like the side of his body, his scarf, the pom-pom, that kind of thing. I'm just going to put that over the top with the glue until it's covered, and it's just going to add that really pretty kind of iridescent snow look all over him, and I just think it looks so cute. I'm really loving this little extra thing, just to give him a little more snow. And then I'm going to take that black marker and make his 3 buttons right in the middle. You could always use real buttons if you want. Then I decided to add a little more snow just because it looks so pretty. So I wanted to, and I had some stuck on my table, so I thought I'd try to use it all up. I've got a little greenery pick. I'm just going to add one little piece there, and then I've got a little poinsettia. I'm going to add that, and that is it. I think that he came out so cute. I really love him, and to think this was made using foam boards. Amazing. You don't even have to deal with wood on this one. Let me know what you think. Tag that I had cut out was in my stash from a previous project, and then I've got some buttons. I was aiming for white buttons. And then what I'm going to do is use some ocean chalk paint, some chalkboard paint, and some linen white chalk paint. And then I've got a fan brush, which we're going to use. It's really fun. I'm going to take my crocodile and I'm going to make a hole in the top of the tag. That way we will have a place to put the twine. I'm going to take the ocean colored chalk paint and some of the black chalkboard paint, kind of mix it together. I'm going to cover both sides and then add a little more of the ocean on top because I want it to look like a night sky that's really dark. Now that I've got both sides done and they are dry, we're going to take that fan brush and some of the white paint. I'm just going to tap it all over. And what this does is it creates the effect of like falling snow. And I love they don't all come out the exact same size. Once that is dry, I'm going to fold my twine in half, put the loop through the hole, and pull the rest through. Now I'm going to paint that one button with a little more white because it's got some black on it. So I'm just going to roll up some masking tape so it won't move and just put that white paint on there and make sure that it stays. And I will also cover that with Mod Podge. I'm going to cover the entire tag with Mod Podge as well. I want to seal in that paint. Now these two little buttons I'm going to use for this snowman, by the way, it's a snowman, have these pieces on the back which my little nippers can clip off very easily. They're just really plastic. So now I'm going to position the 3 buttons in the shape of the snowman, and I'm going to hot glue them right onto the tag. I'm already loving the way this one looks. I think it's so adorable. Now once I have my snowman on there, I'm going to take a very fine point art brush, and with that black paint I'm going to do his eyes, buttons, and his mouth. Then I'm going to take my pumpkin chalk paint, which is like orange, and I'm just going to paint on a cute little nose. I've got 2 little wooden snowflakes that were in my stash. You can get these kind of shapes anywhere, any of the craft stores. I've just been collecting them here and there. And I'm just going to put those on, and then I decided to go over that and paint it with the white, which is very easy with a small little art brush to do after the fact. Now I'm going to take a stencil brush like a dabber. I'm just going to go around the bottom and make it look like there's snow on the back and on the bottom of the front, just because I didn't want it to look like sky all the way across the whole thing, because obviously the snowman's not floating. I'm going to take my chalk marker from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to write to and from, and then I want to make it look like a little bit of snow's on the back too, so I'll just kind of dot it all over with that, and that it also gives you that effect that the fan brush did. I think this one came out beautiful. I love it, and what a cute ornament this would turn into after being a gift tag. Let me know what you think. Gift bag hack. I'm going to take my Rust-Oleum linen white chalk paint, and I'm going to take some pumpkin Waverly chalk paint and a jot marker from the Dollar Tree also. I'm going to put that extra piece of a shopping bag inside to make sure that the wet paint doesn't soak through. And then I'm just going to freehand like kind of a half circle in the bottom right corner and then fill it in all the way to the edges. And you do not have to mark this ahead of time. You can just do this with your brush. It does not have to be perfect. And it doesn't have to be really solid coverage either. I'm going to dry that with my heat tool from Amazon. Saves me so much time. I'm going to take my black marker from the jot marker from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to draw 2 branches, one coming from each side of the little white half circle. I'm making a snowman if you haven't figured that out. And these are going to be his arms. And so here's the second one. I just drew a squiggly line and added some little branches. It's like he's reaching straight up into the sky. I'm going to make 2 little eyes, and then I'm going to make a mouth. And you can make these any way you want, whatever you like. I'm going to take the bottom side of a paintbrush, and I'm just going to use the white paint, and I'm going to make little snowballs, if you will, falling from the sky all around. Then I'm going to take a skewer stick and the flat side, and I'm going to make smaller ones. That way, create some definition of the different sizes of the snow coming down. I'm going to take an orange jot marker from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to draw a little nose. So keep in mind, he's looking straight up, so his nose is going to go upward. And so I'm just going to draw that out, but you can see where the white is versus the bag. So I'm going to come in with that pumpkin chalk paint. And I'm just going to go over the whole thing and make sure that it looks more like just one solid nose, not a two-tone nose. And having done this, it actually makes it look more like a carrot too. And then I'm just going to touch it up with a finer art brush at the bottom and make sure it looks cute. I love this. This is one of my favorites. Let me know what you think. this scrapbook paper that has a bunch of red trucks, and I'm going to put my tag over one of them so I can cut it out so you can see the truck. And that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to erase my pencil marks. And then I'm going to put my tape roller all over the tag and attach that one to the one side. Now, listen, I couldn't just leave well enough alone, so I got my mop head out again, and I started like shredding little pieces and hot gluing them to where the snow is on the truck in the picture. Now, at first it looks really weird because you could see the little strands, and then I start like ripping it up kind of and fluffing it, and then it started kind of looking like snow. So in the end, I liked it, but at first I was like, what are you doing? Do you ever do that where you start something and then you realize, you know what, this isn't going where I wanted it to, and so then you figure out a way to fix it. Anyway, that's the thing. It's just crafting. We all do it. We make mistakes. We don't always know which direction we're going in, and then we figure it out, and that's the fun of creating, and I love that. And I just want to encourage each of you to create something whenever you feel like it. Just, it doesn't matter how it comes out. It's just the act of creation that is so cool. We were created to create. And I'm just going to finish this up with some more of the mop head and fluff it out. And literally, it's like I'm just ripping it almost, like ripping the little pieces or pulling them apart. It's just like a very fine, like cotton. I guess that's what I would call it. I'm going to take my crocodile and make a hole right in the top again. See, there you go. You can see it now. It does look better, like drifting snow kind of. And then I'm going to do the two in the from on the back. And I'm going to cut out a little snowman and some presents. I'm going to fussy cut all around them. And then I'm going to use my Mod Podge and attach them. Now, the ink I was using for the stamps, there must be something about it. It doesn't dry very fast. And so I smeared it again, and I ended up just taking a wet cloth, and it comes right off. And then I just wrote to and from in kind of like typewriter font writing the best I could. And, you know, sometimes that's just, you have to make adjustments. I'm going to put some more of that mop head. I'm going to take the strand and break it into one strand. It comes 3. And I'm just going to hot glue that all the way around the edges. And then I'm going to thicken it up so that you don't see the cardboard. And it did end up coming out really cute. You'll have to tell me what you think about this one. I found these cute little pot holders at the Dollar Tree. We're going to do 2, but here's the first one. It's red, and I've got this snowman ornament that is adorable. I'm going to take off the tags. We're going to turn this pot holder into a puppet. Because of the way you put your hands in it, it just feels like a puppet already. So for this one, just to show you how easy this could be, we're going to literally just glue the little snowman ornament right on, and that becomes the face of this puppet. And his mouth is right there, and look at that. I mean, could that be any easier? That was that. You could do this with your kids or grandkids. They would love it. Oh my gosh, I love it. Talk about easy, fun for the grandkids and kiddos. And it would be cute just to have them out during the Christmas season. Let me know what you think. This Walmart window cling set was only 98 cents. You cannot beat that. And then I've got a pizza pan from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to clean it off with my rubbing alcohol. It had been sitting in my stash for a while, so I thought it might be a little dusty, and I want to make sure the window cling sticks really well. So now I'm just going to take that biggest piece from the window cling. It's like an ice skating rink, and I thought on the pizza pan it was perfect because it looks like ice then. So I just put that on there, and now I'm just going to add some cute little snowflakes that were on there just to kind of fill it in. And then I'm going to add a couple of the trees as well because I want to give it a more, you know, almost 3-dimensional type look, if you will. You'll see here in just a second how I'm going to add the trees. So see how I layered that over? That way it almost looks like it's in front of it. So anyway, I thought it looked really cute to do that, and I wanted to fill in the gaps on the bottom as well. Now I'm going to add some Mod Podge underneath some of the ones that weren't sticking really well, and then I'll put Mod Podge over the top of the whole entire thing. I noticed that those little snowflakes just weren't laying the way I wanted them to. Easy fix though. So now it's all covered and everything is nice and secure. I've got this poinsettia garland that I got in a Michael's grab bag a couple years ago. It was a great thing. I got about 20 of them, so I'm going to be using these forever.
But I'm going to cut off the little poinsettias, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a pattern. So I'll start at the very top, and I'm going to add a poinsettia, and then I've got these little pine picks from Amazon, and I'm going to cut off the metal point at the end, and I'm going to put one on either side of the poinsettia, and I'll just keep doing that all the way around. And that's going to be a beautiful border for this, and this is going to turn into a wreath or a wall hanging, whatever you want. But I think it just turned out beautiful, and the red in the poinsettias just picks up the little bit of red in the window clings, but just enough to make it pop. And I really am loving that. So there it is. They are all on there now. Isn't that the cutest? Now we're just going to turn it over and add a hanger. I'm just going to use a piece from a mop head because I just love the way they look and the way they work. Use some hot glue and some masking tape, which is what I usually do to make sure that it's on there nice and secure. Now, because I made the hanger kind of long, I decided I better add some more glue moving up towards the top because otherwise it's just going to like pull away from wherever I hang it. And I'll add a little bit more tape on that too, just to make sure it's nice and secure. This was so easy, and look how adorable it is. I mean, what a fun thing to make. I love how it turned out. Let me know what you think. For this Pinterest-inspired project, we're just going to take one crate, and then I've got some black construction paper. I'm going to use my white paint. You can use any white paint you want. I'm going to paint the entire thing white, inside, outside, everything. Now, once I've got that painted, I am going to take a little bit of this chalkboard black paint, and I'm just going to brush it across and dry brush. So, you know, that's where you put a little bit on your brush, wipe most of it off, and then drag it across. I just want to make it look like it's outside and been dirty. We're going to make a cute little snowman. And, you know, snow doesn't stay white very long with everybody playing with it and cars driving by. So I figured we'd go ahead and mess it up a little bit. Using the crate as my guide, I'm going to trace about 3/4 of an inch around the crate to make the bottom brim part of a snowman's hat. And then I'm also going to make a circle. I'm just using some tape to do that. And then I'm going to cut another rectangular piece that we're going to wrap around. We need to make a little snowman hat. So we've got that top piece, and then we're just going to kind of measure this around the circle so we can see how big we want it to be. Took a couple of times trimming it to get it to the size that I wanted. So there is the bottom of the hat, and I'm going to go ahead and glue that to the open side, which is the bottom of the crate. Now I'm going to bend that rectangle, and I'm going to figure out how big to make it for the circle that I cut. I'm going to glue it so it looks like just a little round piece now. Put some hot glue on the top, and we're going to add the very top of our hat right there. We will trim away the excess. I'm going to take a black marker. I'm going to draw some eyes. And since it's already a white snowman, we don't have to fill in the white part, just the black. I'll take a bright orange marker and make the nose. This is so easy and so cute. And now I will trim the very top of the hat. This would be fun to do with grandkids and kids, I think, because it's very easy and the end result is very, very cute. Going to make sure my seam is nice. I'm going to add a beautiful black and white buffalo check ribbon to the bottom of the top part of the hat, just to give it a cute little, you know, dressing up. And then I'll cut off any excess. And now I'm just going to put hot glue all around that bottom portion, and I will just hot glue it right to the top of the brim of his hat, or her hat, whichever way you want to go. I've got this beautiful star that came off of a clip from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to attach it right there. And then I'm going to take my white paint and I'm going to go around and kind of flock it and put snow where I think it would land, you know, like on the top of his hat and around the edges and so forth. Just for fun. Of course, you don't have to do this if you don't want to. We're going to add a little bit of Christmas greenery. It's got like sparkles on it and glitter. And we're just going to add that to the side of his little snowflake just for embellishment. And then I'm going to add a couple of cute little pine cones that I got at the Dollar Tree. I love those little mini pine cones. They really come in handy. I put them on so many things for Christmas crafting. And isn't he cute? I really like him. So easy to make. Wouldn't that be cute on a tiered tray? I definitely think the kiddos would have a lot of fun making this with you. Let me know what you think. I've got this cute snowman wrapping paper from the Dollar Tree, and then I've got from my protein, collagen, peptides that I take every day. I save these big containers because I feel like you could use them for something. So I'm just going to cut out the wrapping paper to be able to cover around the entire container. This would be a great container to put Christmas cookies in and give it as a gift. So luckily the label just pulled right off. I'm going to use my all-purpose spray adhesive, and I'm just going to start spraying the side of this container. And I'll just carefully go around, and like I said, luckily you can reposition this, so that is a nice thing. But I'll just go as slow as possible and just kind of rub it around, and then I'm going to cut off the excess on the side. And then we're also going to cut off a bunch of that excess for the bottom, and then I'll take a sanding sponge and go around in a downward motion and just cut off the excess. And then I use an X-Acto blade to cut off any excess around the top, and it just came out perfectly. I'm going to use a mop head and take some pieces. I'm going to hot glue them around the bottom edge there where the wrapping paper meets the container. And then also at the top where the wrapping paper meets the container, just to kind of add that little snowy festive look, since there's snowmen on there. You don't have to put cookies, in this. You could put anything you want. I just thought it was so cute, and because it's something you already have, if you save things like this, you could use it. I'm also going to put spray adhesive on the top of this container and put some more of the wrapping paper. I'll use my brayer to secure it, and again with the sanding sponge, go in a downward motion around the edges and make a nice clean piece. Just make sure I get all the little excess. I'm going to add one more piece of that mop from the Dollar Tree around the top there on the lid, just to kind of tie it together with what I did on the bottom. This is so easy, and you could use any wrapping paper you want. And this one I just thought was so fun and festive. Dollar Tree had so many different kinds. And in the plus section, they had thicker rolls and like multiples in container for you to buy. And there it is. It's so cute. No, I thought it needed one more thing. So I've got this ribbon from the Dollar Tree that has little presents on it. And it's just red and white, and it's really pretty. And that was a perfect width to go right on the lid of this container. So I just hot glued it all the way around, cut off the excess, and then I've got my nice little trim around the lid, and that just did it for me. I thought that was just the perfect way to finish this off. You could put something on top. I didn't feel like I needed to. I am going to spray it with the clear glaze all around to keep that paper nice and sealed. Let me know what you think. I actually think for something so simple, it turned out really, really cute. I love this one. You've got a little snowman ornament and two little snowy wreath ornaments, and they've got these cute little embellishments on them. I do take those off and use them in other projects. So we're going to go ahead and cut off the tags, and then it's really hard to get those off, by the way. You can heat it up with a heat tool. You can use nippers, whatever it is, get in there and cut it off. That's what the cutting actually helped the most. Otherwise, it unravels the little wreath, and then there's like styrofoam on the inside, and you have to glue it back together. So that happened to me with the first one, and I learned by the second one that it was actually better to just cut it off. You see how it got a little wonky there? It's okay. We won't see that once this is completed, and we will save these pieces for other projects. So here are my two little wreaths, and I'm going to hot glue them together, and see how I covered up that one that was a little deformed. I'm going to put the glue on it, set the other little wreath on top just slightly back, and that covers that up, so it actually wasn't a problem. Then I'm going to add hot glue all over the top, and I'm going to put the snowman right on the top. So the idea here is a melting snowman, which I think is so cute. I've got this little wooden box from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to go ahead and use antique wax and stain it, and that will be our base for this one. Now, I forgot to film me writing this with a white chalk marker, but I just wrote melting for you, and you could do stickers, Cricut, whatever you want. I just wrote it because it was so small. And then I'm going to hot glue the snowman right on top. Isn't that cute? And it just looks like a little snowman is melting, but then kind of makes it more special by saying melting for you. And I just thought this was so cute. I've seen lots of melting snowmen and I haven't done one. And I thought, oh, this would work. This would work so cute when I saw those ornaments. I'm going to take some more of these greenery picks that are glittery from the Dollar Tree. They're just so perfect for the holidays. And I'm just going to embellish around the two sides of the snowman. And then I'm going to take some red berries. I'm going to put 3 on each side just to add a little pop of color and brighten this up. And I thought this was just the perfect finishing touch to this piece. You could embellish this any way you want or not at all if you prefer not to. I just love adding little things to my projects, and there's nothing wrong if you decide that you don't want to do that. I mean, everybody has their own personal taste, and that's okay. So here we go with the little berries. I got those on Amazon. They came in the weirdest way with like wire and then a berry on each end, which is so bizarre. So I just am cutting them off and using them. And this turned out adorable. I absolutely love it. It might be my favorite today just because it's so cute. Let me know what you think. We're going to take 5 of the spoons, and then I've got this cute little bucket. I got it at IKEA, but you know, Dollar Tree has buckets that are similar. I'm going to take a paint marker, and I'm just going to do this beautiful blue, like kind of 2 stripes all the way around. Then I'm going to take a mop head, and I'm just going to line the very top and bottom of these blue lines and just hot glue that all the way around. Kind of wanted to give it that cute little snow sort of festive feel. And once I get to the end, I will just cut off any excess. Now I'm going to take a white paint marker and I'm just going to go right in the center there and fill in that gap. I just thought that made it look really nice. Now I'm going to take a black marker and I'm going to make little snowman faces on each of the back side of the spoons. I'm going to make them all look just a little bit different smiles, and their eyes may be placed a little bit differently. And you could do anything you want. They could all look the same, you know, whatever you like. A lot of times I just look at pictures of things to get ideas of how to make little faces and things like that. Next, I'm going to take an orange paint marker and I'm just going to make little noses on all of them. I'm going to take this microfiber cloth and I'm just going to cut out a piece. And what I'm going to do this separately to each of them, is create a little hat and then a little scarf. So I'm going to use ribbons, I'm going to use fabric, I'm going to use twine, all different things. You could use whatever you want just to make each of them different. And then I'm going to take this twine and tie around the top just to kind of give the hat a cute little look. And that just, you know, something that you could just make up anything you want to create little hats and little scarves for these. And I'll just tie a bow on there, and then I'm going to take that little teeny tiny piece of glittery greenery there, and I'm going to glue it right to the center of the bow. Next, I'm going to take a container of glue and I'm just going to wrap this twine around a bunch of times. And the reason I'm doing this is that I want to create a scarf that is a little different. So I'm just going to cut it off. Once I do that, I'll pull it off and I'm just going to kind of twist it and put the spoon right in there. And I'm going to hot glue the top part to the little spoon and also on the back. And this is just kind of like making a different type of a scarf. I was just going for different things for each of these that I'm going to do. Now, once I get that glued on, I'm just going to go ahead and cut through the loops, and then I'll trim them down so they're not quite so long and scraggly. And there you go. Now I've got a cute little scarf. And I'm going to do a bunch of different things. You can see them there with the ribbons and so forth. Now I'm going to take some little peppermint candies from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to unwrap them and I'm just going to hot glue them all the way around where I had done the paint markers. I just thought that looked so pretty to add that with the blue and the white. I'm going to put all the rest of the peppermints in there, and then I'm just going to stick the little spoon snowmen in there. And I just think it looks so cute. Like, what a fun little decor item. It's almost like it's, you know, a floral arrangement, but a snowman arrangement. Anyway, this was so easy. You could do this with the kids, grandkids, and it would be so fun to make. Let me know what you think. ornaments. I've got the tree, and then I've got some snowmen, and then I've got this little shelf that I found at the Target dollar spot several years ago, and I thought it was a great deal. It was only $3. I've also got some of the microfiber cloth from Dollar Tree. I'm going to pull off that little top part of the snowman's head with my nippers, but I'm going to leave the one on the Christmas tree. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to hot glue that microfiber cloth on there. Now mine wasn't big enough, so I had to piece it together, but if you have a bigger piece, obviously that would look nicer. And of course, I went to Dollar Tree after I made this and found some. Oh well, that's how that goes, right? Anyway, I'm going to make this work. I'm just going to glue it down and, like I said, fill in the gaps with some other pieces that I have. I'm going to trim around the edges and just make sure that everything is on there securely. I'm going to have things sitting on there so you won't even notice that little seam. Now I'm going to take that Christmas tree and I'm going to put it towards the back center, and I'm going to glue underneath and on the back to secure it, and then I'm going to put a little bit of glue right behind that hanger on the top of it because it does touch the metal there. Now I'm going to put a lot of glue on my snowman. I'm just going to attach that one to one side and the second one to the other side. Now I do have some of these bottle brush Christmas trees in my stash. I can't remember where I got them, but they're super cute. They have little wooden bases, and I'm going to add 3 of them. You could use any of these kind of trees. Dollar Tree definitely has them. Now I'm going to add some gold pine cones. They were on a garland. I just cut them off, and I thought the gold looked really nice with the gold on the metal. It's not an exact match, but I think it looks really cute. And then I'm going to add some greenery just across the front. These are some picks from leftover Dollar Tree Christmas picks. And I'm just going to add a couple different ones to the front just to give it a nice little festive look and feel. I'm also going to add this one little branch that has like little icicles on it, again, just to give it that wintry, Christmas look. Anything I had in my stash, I'm always trying to use things up. And then I've got these cute little gold sparkly berries, and I'm just going to put them in random places kind of across the front just to add more of that sparkle. And since this has both silver and gold, I thought that would be a nice way to add a little bit more of the silver. This was such an easy piece to put together. I mean, seriously, it's mostly just gluing things and just arranging them the way you like them. So you could take anything that you had at home to put on a little shelf like this and just turn it into something beautiful. You'll have to let me know what you think. Plush throw, and it was $5 at Dollar Tree Plus section. And then I've got this cute little piece here that was in the wood section of the Crafter Square at Dollar Tree. And I've got a little snowman ornament also from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to cut out a piece of this plush throw where it says "Let It Snow." I'm going to make sure that I, put that right over the top so I know where to cut. I'm going to cut kind of around it first, and then I'll do a better cut afterwards. I just want to make sure I have a smaller piece to work with to start. These plush throws are so large you could make so many things out of them, besides using it, of course, as a throw. So now I'm just going to take some Beacon Fabric Tack glue, and I'm going to put it on one side all around the edges. I like to do things like this kind of in sections, and then I'll just make sure it's all over there, and I'll lay down that first side. And then we'll lift up the other side and do the exact same thing and attach it with the Beacon Fabric Tack glue. I'm going to take my brayer and just try to make sure it's even adhered better than using my hands. Now I'm going to take my scissors and very carefully go around and trim. I tried to do it with the X-Acto knife. It just kind of pulled on the throw, so I thought it actually worked better with the scissors. So there it is, nice and trimmed. And we are gonna take a mop head and a little piece of that, and we're actually gonna line around the edges so it didn't have to be perfect. It was just so much easier to do this. Plus, I love that pop of white because it kind of brings out the white in the little throw piece that we've got on there. And I'm just using hot glue to attach that all the way around. And I'm going to take this little snowman ornament. I'm just snip off the hanger part because we really don't need that for this one. I'm going to put a generous amount of hot glue right on the back, and I'm just going to position him on this piece. I thought that was so cute for it to say, let it snow, have snowflakes, and then have a little snowman on there. I've got this beautiful kind of sparkly, snowy greenery from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to start adding some little pieces here and there around the snowman. And I just thought that added such a nice touch to put that on there. It was so shiny like the snowman, and I thought it looked good. I'm also going to add some little red berries just for, you know, that pop of color over there. And then add a little bit more going down, you know, almost like a little swag. This is so cute, and it was so easy. It came together so quickly. You'll have to let me know what you think. I just love this one. I think it's fun. Are you ready for more inspiration? I've got another video here I think you will really like. Click on it. I will see you there. You are truly a blessing to me. Bye.